Chapter 12 The Counter Plan. Every morning before school, Alfie had to get up super early. This was because, besides getting himself ready for the day, he had to look after his father too. So after putting on his school uniform, he helped Dad get washed and dressed. Next, he made them both some breakfast. This morning, there was nothing left in the larder except for a solitary that means alone, a single, still that means not fresh, crust of bread. So over here, the boy gave his dad the bigger half, but Dad swapped the plates when Alfie had his back turned so his son could have it. Before Alfie knew it, he was running late. Now remember, Winnie will pick you up from the school gates at 1:30 to take you to the dentist, said Dad. How could I forget, mooched the boy. She's a good woman. She's even called the school for me so that they know all about it. That's kind of her, replied Alfie in a stilted, that means like a forced and unnatural tone. Now don't be late. Don't worry, Dad, I'll be there, lied the boy. Alfie kissed his dad on the forehead as he did every morning and left for school. Unable to sleep last night, Alfie's mind had whirled for hours formulating, that means making up a counter plan. It was simple, devilishly simple. He would hide. It was a 3-point plan. 1. At 1:29 p.m., Alfie would ask to be excused from double math to go to the dentist. Number 2, then instead of walking to school gates to meet Winnie, he would conceal, that means he would hide himself somewhere. The school was vast, that means very big, and there had to be hundreds of great hiding places. The store, cupboard, under a pile of lost property, even behind the atlases in the library, anywhere where this meddling, that means this nosy, this busybody woman wouldn't be able to find him. Number 3, finally he would stay hidden until the bell signaling the end of school rang, then simply join the throng of pupils leaving for home. Throng of pupils, that means crowd of pupils leaving for home. Psst, Alfie! The boy looked around the school playground, but he couldn't see who was whispering to him. Behind the bins. It was first thing in the morning and the whole open space was bustling with children. That means there were a lot of children arriving at school. Hesitantly, Alfie circled the bins and breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that the voice belonged to his newest and littlest friend. Oh, hi, Gaps, said Alfie. Last night, another turtle reported attacks. Wow, Alfie was gobsmacked and surprised. Kids found all sorts under their pillows. Like what? A puppy's tail sliced clean off, a hairy wart, an electric eel still wiggling, and this morning, haven't you noticed anything different? Said the little girl. About what? The kids, look at them. Alfie peered out from behind the bins, observing his fellow pupils. At first glance, he didn't notice anything particularly different. I don't know, said the boy. I thought you weren't like the others. I thought you were smart. Alfie was determined to go back up in the girl's estimation. That means because Gaps said that Gaps told Alfie that, hey, I thought you were smart. How will you not know? So Alfie was determined to make himself smart. So now he looked closer and noticed the kids were much quieter than usual, many of them holding their jaws in pain. What happened? Toothache, proclaimed the boy. Bingo, we got there, sighed Gaps. It must have been all the sweets Root, that means Miss Roots, was giving out. You don't say, she retorted in a sarcastic tone. Alfie was beginning to tire, that means he's beginning to be tired of being spoken to like he was completely a dummy. So the way Gaps always speak to Alfie is like as if Alfie's very dumb. Please just shut up for a moment. I'm beginning to find you really annoying. So Alfie's beginning to find Gaps really annoying. Alfie gathered his thoughts. That means he calmed down and started thinking hard. So obviously those sweets can't be sugar-free. They must be absolutely packed with sugar. But why is Ruth doing this? Just to get new patients? Or some kind of sick and twisted joke? Mused Gaps. Alfie suddenly remembered. You won't believe this, but my social worker got me an appointment to see Ruth this afternoon. A broad smile crossed the little girl's face. That means she smiled. That's brilliant! What? Said Alfie, incredulous. That means shocked. Like, why are you smiling when I have to see Miss Ruth? So Gap said, you can have a look around her surgery for clues. See if there's anything to connect her to all the tooth snatching that's been going on. Alfie couldn't believe what he was hearing. Are you crazy? That woman frightens me. I'm not going anywhere near her surgery. Who knows what she might do? Scaredy cat. Alfie looked down at Gaps. He couldn't believe he had been called a scaredy cat by a girl who was only 11 and at least a foot shorter than him. So this is Gaps and this is Alfie. Say that again, demanded Alfie. Gaps wasn't easily intimidated. That means Gaps wasn't easily afraid of people. Scaredy cat, scaredy cat, scaredy cat, she taunted. She teased. Hey, what's this? Oh, hey, Miss Marple, you're the one who's desperate to find out all about her. Why don't you go? Sneered Alfie. So Miss Marple is the surname of Gaps. So Alfie said that Alfie told Gaps that if you're the one who wants to find out about Miss Ruth, why don't you go to her dental surgery instead? Gaps fixed him a stare. Maybe I will, she said, and with that, the little girl turned, flicked her dreadlocks, and made her way into the main school building. The school day passed painfully slowly for Alfie. Lessons seemed to stretch on for hours. The boy was waiting and waiting for double maths when he could put his 3-point counter plan into action. So his 3-point counter plan is to hide from Winnie, right? There was no way he was going to miss Ruth's surgery and letting that woman loose on his teeth. Alfie didn't care one bit if that made him a scaredy cat. Finally, the clock clicked into position. It was 1:29 p.m., right on cue. Alfie put up his hand in the middle of a particularly devilish piece of algebra and asked to be excused from class. His maths teacher, Mr. Wu, had been informed of the dental appointment by the school secretary and let him go. Jolly good, I do think it's high time you had your teeth seen to, Griffin, announced the teacher to sniggles from the rest of the class. Alfie said nothing. He stood up, collected his books, and left the classroom. Boom! The counter plan went running like clockwork. So his counter plan started. All he had to do now was find somewhere to hide, and fast. As Alfie walked, he surreptitiously, that means secretly, checked the handles on the cleaning cupboard doors. Done! Locked! So he's checking all the handles on the cupboard doors to see whether it's locked. And all of them are locked, so he couldn't go in to hide. As he passed classroom, he ducked a little under the glass in the doors to avoid the darting eyes of suspicious teachers. Heading upwards, he passed a window on the central staircase and peered out. Through the grimy glass, grimy that means dirty glass, Alfie looked past the empty playground to the huge school gates. The unmistakably and unmissable figure of Winnie, that means there's a figure which is Winnie that you cannot mistake for, that means you surely know it's Winnie, was standing out in the rain, her little red moped by her side. The woman had a big orange anorak. You can check what it means, what it looks like from Google image. On that was blustering in the winter wind. Blustering, that means blowing fiercely. So her anorak that she's wearing is blowing fiercely in the winter, in the wind and the rain. It gave her the appearance of a tent that was about to tear free from its pegs and flap off high into the sky. For a moment, Alfie felt a pang of guilt. That means Alfie felt guilty. He felt 内疚. Why? That the social worker was out there in the cold waiting for him. So Alfie actually start feeling 内疚, feeling guilty that the social worker has come all the way and is waiting out there in the cold to send him to the dentist. She's only trying to help, isn't she? Isn't she? He thought before another thought crossed his mind. No, she's just an interfering old bag. Silently, he watched as Winnie checked the time, then looked up at the school. Elfie ducked, then hid under his head. Had she seen him? He couldn't be sure. Running up the stairs, the boy continued his desperate search for somewhere to hide. The classroom were all in use, the pottery room was locked, and going all the way down to the boiler room right now was far too risky. Then somewhere deep in the belly of the school, he heard a sound that Elfie couldn't possibly have planned, counterplanned, or even counterplanned. Counterplan is a made-up word for the tap, tap, tap of Winnie's moped going along the corridor. So now Winnie is going into the school with her moped. So there's no way Elfie can hide. The end.